On the Rare Knowledge Network, today we cover the covert operation, long whispered to be a joint effort between the United States and Israel, that unleashed Stuxnet, the world's first digital weapon capable of quietly sabotaging a nation's nuclear ambitions. In the summer of 2010, a strange digital tremor rippled quietly through computer systems around the world. At first, it looked like nothing more than another mysterious bug. An odd crash here, an unstable machine there. But hidden beneath those small clues was something unprecedented, something the world had never seen before. A weapon made entirely of code. A silent creation that would come to be known as Stuxnet. This is the story of the first true cyber weapon. A digital strike engineered not to steal information, not to ransom data, but to physically sabotage a nation's most guarded machinery. Its target? Iran's uranium enrichment program deep inside the fortified walls of the Natanz nuclear facility. Its impact? The destruction of nearly 1,000 centrifuges, without a single missile, bomb, or soldier. To understand why Stuxnet was born, we begin in the early 2000s, when Iran's expanding nuclear program raised growing international suspicion.
Like every nation, Iran has rights, but it also has responsibilities, and the two are inextricably linked. Iran has shunned opportunity after opportunity to verify the peaceful nature of its nuclear program. In recent months, Iran has given us all more reason, not less, to suspect that its goal is to develop the ability to assemble a nuclear weapon.
Iran insisted it sought peaceful energy and medical capabilities. But many global powers, especially the United States and Israel, believed the program concealed a pathway to nuclear weapons. Revelations of secret enrichment sites only deepened those fears, prompting sanctions, negotiations, and escalating tension. A military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities was debated, but those sites were hardened, dispersed, and heavily defended. A bombing campaign risked a regional war. So behind closed doors, another path emerged. A covert plan to quietly sabotage Iran's capabilities from within. The plan would soon be known, years later, as Operation Olympic Games. Beginning around 2005, American and Israeli intelligence agencies, including the NSA and Israel's Unit 8200, assembled elite teams of engineers and cyber specialists. Their mission? Craft a digital weapon capable of infiltrating Iran's industrial systems, manipulating delicate centrifuge machinery, and causing real physical destruction, all while remaining invisible. Early versions of Stuxnet appeared around 2007. One variant targeted valves that controlled uranium hexafluoride gas flow, creating subtle malfunctions. Another, more advanced version would later attack the centrifuges themselves, causing them to spin far too fast, then too slow, over and over in a destructive rhythm. These attacks damaged equipment gradually, avoiding any single catastrophic failure that might reveal an intruder. Stuxnet's designers demonstrated extraordinary sophistication. The worm carried 4 zero-day exploits, flaws unknown even to Microsoft. It spread through specially crafted shortcut files, through the Windows print spooler, and through elevated privilege vulnerabilities. It even carried stolen digital certificates to disguise itself as legitimate software. But its most remarkable characteristic was its precision. Stuxnet looked for only one thing: computers running Siemens Step 7 software connected to a specific configuration of Siemens programmable logic controllers, the very hardware controlling the centrifuges at Natanz. On any other machine, it remained silent. Natanz was isolated from the internet, an air-gapped fortress. But Stuxnet's creators anticipated that too. The worm was seeded into the networks of Iranian contractors, hitching rides on laptops and USB drives until, eventually, an infected device crossed the threshold into Natanz. Once inside, Stuxnet waited. It monitored conditions, and only when everything matched its hidden checklist did it strike. At carefully timed intervals, the malware secretly rewrote the PLC instructions that controlled centrifuge speeds. It drove the machines far beyond their safe operating limits, then plunged them into dangerously slow cycles. Metal warped, bearings loosened, rotors destabilized. Machines failed. But operators saw none of it. Stuxnet also installed the first known PLC rootkit, feeding false readings to monitoring screens. Engineers watched healthy, stable numbers while their machines tore themselves apart. By 2010, something was clearly wrong at Natanz. Centrifuges were failing at unusually high rates. Entire cascades had to be shut down. Iran replaced machines by the hundreds, yet the cause remained unclear. Only later would the Iranian president admit a malicious program had created problems for a limited number of centrifuges. But Stuxnet's secrecy wouldn't last. A programming flaw allowed the worm to escape Natanz through an engineer's laptop. When that device connected to the internet, Stuxnet leaked out. Not explosively, but slowly, infecting thousands of computers worldwide. Though harmless outside its intended target, its spread attracted attention. The first to notice it was a small cybersecurity firm in Belarus. Their discovery in June 2010 triggered a global investigation. Symantec, Kaspersky, and independent researchers began dissecting the code. And what they found stunned them. Multiple zero days, industrial sabotage routines, a custom PLC rootkit, digital certificates stolen from legitimate companies, and a purposeful design that targeted only one place on Earth. By September, German researcher Ralf Langner made the breakthrough. The worm was built specifically to sabotage Iranian centrifuges. Experts now understood what Stuxnet was, but not who had created it. Clues in the code, including a string reading Murtis, led some to speculate Israeli involvement, though the possibility of deliberate misdirection couldn't be ruled out. Yet behind the scenes, the truth was slowly emerging. Later reporting, including investigations by major news outlets, confirmed what global analysts suspected. Stuxnet was a joint U.S.-Israeli creation. Launched under President George W. Bush and expanded under President Barack Obama, it was part of a coordinated effort to delay Iran's nuclear progress without triggering open war. The final waves of the attack reportedly disabled nearly 1,000 of the 5,000 centrifuges operating at Natanz, a remarkable blow achieved through invisible code rather than bombs. But Stuxnet's exposure carried consequences no one could fully control. Iran accelerated its own cyber capabilities, launching retaliatory attacks on U.S. banks and Gulf nations, and later unleashing the destructive Shamoon malware in Saudi Arabia. Other countries, Russia, China, North Korea, invested heavily in offensive cyber programs. Critical infrastructure worldwide suddenly seemed vulnerable in ways experts had warned about but never truly imagined. And Stuxnet set a precedent. For the first time, a nation had used code to inflict physical sabotage inside another nation's nuclear facility. The line between espionage and warfare had blurred. In the years that followed, Stuxnet reshaped global cybersecurity. Nations hardened their industrial systems. Cyber commands grew. Analysts debated whether the operation prevented conflict or encouraged a dangerous new era of escalation. Many called it a digital Pandora's box, opened with intentions that were strategic, yet filled with risks that would echo for decades. Today, Stuxnet stands as a case study in both ingenuity and warning. It demonstrated that a silent algorithm could wield the power once reserved for missiles. It showed how fragile modern infrastructure can be. And it reminded the world that warfare is evolving, sometimes quietly, invisibly, beneath the surface of ordinary systems. Stuxnet's worm no longer spreads, but its legacy remains everywhere. In global cyber policy, in hardened nuclear facilities, in the rise of cyber armies, and in the uneasy knowledge that the next major conflict might begin not with explosions, but with silent lines of code. This is the story of Stuxnet, the world's first cyber weapon, a digital phantom that changed the course of modern warfare, and opened the door to a future where the front lines of conflict may lie deep inside the circuits of a compromised machine. Thanks for following along with the Rare Knowledge Network. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe.